Last technical session of CRLC. I welcome and invite Ganesh Rajgopalan to the dais. So Ganesh Rajgopalan, page number 209. Is a practicing chartered accountant. Of course, his first time he is coming to SARC. Let me take 2 minutes to introduce him. He is a practicing chartered accountant, handles tax audits and litigation on income tax and indirect tax matters. Second, student of taxation. He's been awarded the Healthier Self Medal for standing joint first in the paper Principles of International Taxation in the AD80 course conducted by our institute in 2013. So sorry, not our institute, Chartered Institute of Taxation, United Kingdom in 2013. His academic research interests presents are in the areas of taxation, copyright law and international trade laws. He has authored the book Taxation of Copyright Royalties in India, Interplay of Copyright Laws and Income Tax, published in the year 2019. His articles on taxation of softwares were published in the Bulletin of International Taxation, Asia Pacific Tax Bulletin of the IBFT. His article Taxing Digital Economy, Applicability of Non-Discrimination Rules in International Agreements was a background paper for the New Delhi conference of the IFA held in April 18. He has contributed the chapter of on foreign jurisprudence on GAR in select jurisdictions in the compendium on GAR published by the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society in 2018. Apart from this, he is an active member in CTC where they also conduct this ARRCs on international taxation. Whenever I attend, I'll see him very actively involved in organizing this type of conferences. This is a very short version of what you organize, sir. So with this brief introduction, let me once again welcome Ganesh Rajgopalan for this presentation. I call upon Nukul Venkatram. Is here? Oh, you are Nukul Venkatram. Anyone who has not come to the dais? Krishna? I call Krishna because he has promised me to take back home. So now it's over to Ganesh to talk about significant economic presence. So all the delegates are significantly present, sir. First day till now. The last.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Kutta, for the introduction and for also inviting me to come and speak here. This is not my first time. Not that it matters. Just I'm keeping the record straight. I had spoken in Chennai almost 3 years back when BEPS was initially introduced. Now this calling out the page number sounds like Kaidi number 402. So I'm here, you're Kaidi now, till you allow me to go. I really enjoyed your description of what all fun you had yesterday. It actually shows the warmth with which I think all of you must have got together in the last 3 days. My session being the last session, I hope you take that warmth. I don't want to burden you too much with interpretations. Trying to do a surgical strike, which government did on 94B. You all agree? I hope. I don't agree. I might not agree with these propositions, but it was a surgical strike. Some propositions, most of the propositions I do agree. Only one I have a little difference of opinion, which we will discuss on the way back further. So basically,
after reaching airports or in between all this.
So this significant economic presence and this digital taxation, taxing digital economy, all these are been going on for the last 6 years. Since the 2013, the BEPS plan was announced by the G5 and then adopted by G20. they started with Action 1, really speaking. They gave the primacy to Action 1 because that was what was troubling the nations who were part of G20 or G5 at that point in time. That is, basically people are not paying, they are having great amount of revenue, they have a great involvement in the economy of countries, but they are not paying adequate taxes. So this was the starting point of the BEPS. And as you have seen, they have not been able to conclude even after 6 years on this digital taxation. And ultimately they are coming around to a proposition which might not require so much of interpretation and debate, etc. It is going to be something like your 44B sort of a scenario. Ultimately, this is what it appears like. Second point is, this subject is a live counter. Buffet, we have a live counter. You can go and get your omelette or dosa, whatever. This is a live counter. So there's hardly 15 days back there was a CBDT draft recommendations on profit attribution to profit attribution of PE as well as for ACP. So we had in February 19, OECD had come out with a public consultation document on what or in what manner this whole taxation of digitalized economy will should take place. And there was a public consultation document, and Bombay Chartered Accountants Society had given certain representations of which I was lucky to be part of. The point I'm making is, things are very nebulous, things are not something which we can sit and interpret and expect our interpretation to be correct. I'll give you one simple example. This started as a taxation of digital commerce or digital economy. Actually, it is not turned around to be a taxation of digitalized businesses. There's a difference between the two. Now they have this focus shifted gradually. You can't really make out how the focus shifted. What is now sought to be taxed is people, or is even traditional businesses which are using good amount of technology to remotely impact an economy by way of making sales and generating income from that economy. So it is not about your Google and Facebook alone. It could be your Samsung who are dealing in tangible goods. So there is a good amount of shift which has happened over a period of time. The shift is there, which is not really clearly discernible from individual reports, but it is there, shift is there. And it has culminated in an SEP on the same lines in our income tax law. So when we look at this proposal, the provisions of the significant economic presence, we need to keep this background in mind. So the way in which I structured my presentation is, it is going to be, I will discuss what the developments have been, not discuss, we'll just touch upon what the developments have been, discuss the public consultation document because of the most recent document of the inclusive framework. That I suppose people must be aware what the inclusive framework is. Basically, it started with the G5, then G20. OECD latched on to this whole project to say that now we also will help you, we will give you all the secretariat resources, etc. So now people call it OECD report. It is not the OECD report. It was actually OECD G20 report. It was actually the G20 had told OECD, now you prepare this report. So it was basically the G20's report, and afterwards, you have had an inclusive framework which is nothing but almost 130 countries are involved in discussions on these reports, so that they get everybody on board for a multilateral, may not be a multilateral, but probably that all the countries would accept the findings and the propositions which they ultimately recommend. So this is an inclusive framework public consultation document which happened in February, and from there we will come to our income tax provisions and try to analyze, try to do a little bit of nitpicking. After Bombay, I need to do nitpicking, otherwise you will feel I'm talking in the air. So we will do a little bit of nitpicking on the ACP provisions in our law, and also discuss the attribution rules which are sought to be introduced in the Income Tax Act, income tax rules in place of Rule 10, which is the existing rule. So this is the whole structure. Now, of course, you people can interrupt anytime you want. I have no problems. Whether you get answers for the questions you raise, that's the risk you take. And other than that, I think the fun, other than that, the tomato threat is there, but I think I can duck. So let's go straight to the proceedings. Now what is it? This is the starting point, BEPS project. Okay, we will not read the entire slide. It's like so much of verbose. They write long sentences for us to get troubled with. But what are they talking about? Just let us look at the highlighted portions. They're talking about the digital economy. This is what it started with, as a digital economy. Then they're talking about ability of a company to have a significant digital presence. Here again, we are not talking about economic presence. They are talking about digital presence. Attribution of value created from generation of marketable, location-relevant data. Following, these are all terms. Don't need to bother. Don't need to be weighed on too much by these terms. But point is, see the thought process. The thought process is we want to tax digital economy. We want to tax companies which are having significant digital presence based on attribution of value, because you need to attribute value to data, which is what data? Generation of marketable, location relevant data. This was the starting point. Then what happened? The story so far. We had action 1 which came in 2015, interim report in 2018, the public consultation document which I referred to in 2019. Indian developments, we had an equalization levy which followed the committee on e-commerce report in February 16, which had recommended equalization levy on vast on a large list of services which they had suggested, out of which they had put on some services, not only on advertising. It's a very limited list, for which I believe there is a reason. And SCP was introduced in the Act by Finance Act 2018, and of course now we have profit attribution to PE, CBDT committees draft report, which came on 18th April 2019. This report is available for comments. They want comments within a month. I would urge you to read the report based on whatever we discussed in the first part of the of my presentation. And I would urge you to also, as Mr. Srinivasan said, we should make representations in large numbers to, in whatever way we think is correct or wrong about the draft report, which will help with the public interaction of the professional interacting with the draftsman and the people, the powers that be, will help to some extent to sort of mitigate if there are any rough or smooth and rough edges, if there are any. So briefly, what Action 1 report examined? Action 1 had 3 options that examined. They did not recommend any of them. Significant economic presence in excess, withholding tax and equalization levy. India immediately adopted equalization levy, though it was not a recommendation of the Action 1 report. Now, these reports are binding, not a binding force on the Indian government, because Indian government is party to these reports. It is not something which is being sort of somebody in the OECD is giving us a direction to do certain things which might be binding, which might not be binding. It is not persuasive, it is actually binding. The report suggested that these recommendatory measures can be taken subject to treaty obligations being respected. So what India did? India said no, equalization levy is not a direct tax. It is not an income tax. So treaty doesn't apply. So it is a direct tax. It is not an income tax, but a direct tax. This is the expression which we got from the government. So we are not discussing equalization levy, so we will leave it there. As we go on, in 2018, the interim report was given, and this time originally it was a G5 or a G20 report. Now it became the IFC report, which is basically inclusive framework, where you had larger number of countries getting involved. Now here, the report again concluded that they can't conclude. Seriously, that is what it is. They concluded they can't conclude. That's why they gave us an interim report, and they said by 2020 we'll do something about it. So they wanted 5 years from 2015 to come to a conclusion. Still they are struggling, but we'll see where the whole thing seems to be headed. What is the straw in the wind? In which direction the whole thing will go? So in this report, what they identified was what is the characteristics of a highly digitalized business. Digital economy is gone up. Now we are on highly digitalized business. So that's the difference. What is a highly digitalized business? These are companies or businesses which have scale without mass. They don't have any physical presence in the source countries. Heavy reliance on intangibles and data and user participation. Now you can see what they are talking about. They are talking about people who are doing a business in our country without being present. Take an Uber or Google for that matter. Now Uber and Google are digital companies, but they can also be described as highly digitalized business in the sense that Uber is basically providing a platform where multi-sided platform where you got a passenger or a prospective customer and a car operator. So they are matching the two and coming out with a model whereby they earn money from India. And of course you have the Facebooks of the world and the Google, which is we're talking about data and user participation aspects will come. And intangibles now, without all these are very highly technology driven. Also for any business, foreign business to come and do business here, they need to have good amount of marketing spends without having physical presence. So those marketing spends are nothing but resulting in marketing intangibles. Right? So basically they are talking about heavy reliance on intangibles. And of course the one conclusion they came to in the 2018 report was that it's a destination based corporate profit taxes less susceptible to BEPS. BEPS is basically base erosion and profit shifting. A corporate tax on the destination is a better proposition than a tax earlier in the chain, so that the destination is where you earn the income ultimately. So that is very difficult, or it is less difficult to, it's very difficult for a company to say where its customers are not. I'm not being very clear. Let me put it like this. Can we shift our customers? We can't. So if I attribute or if I tax income where the customers are, for a company to shift the customers out of that jurisdiction, it is not a possible proposition. While if I say I tax where your IP is, Mr. Srinivasan pointed out IP companies, you can sort of migrate IPs and say no, this IP is owned by that company and the taxing, you can't tax it here in this country. So basically the logic they are trying to follow is we'll try and impose corporate taxes or the corporate profits tax where the customers are. This is the ultimate logic which is coming out from all these action plans, from all these reports. Then we come to the 2019 inclusive framework consultation document. Here we will discuss a little bit on what those recommendations are. There are recommendations as of yet, and these recommendations have been generated by the countries in the inclusive framework on a without prejudice basis, in the sense that a lot of the countries have got fixed positions on where they believe the taxation should happen, but because of which there was no new ideas coming to the table. So they said, let us do this on a without prejudice basis. Ultimately, if we do it, as long as I am not bound by my own suggestion, I will be more free to give my suggestion. So that is how this whole report, this consultation document has been given birth. Now here what they are talking about is, you need to have nexus rules, but you need to also have a profit allocation along with the nexus rules. You can't just say that there is a ACP but there is no attribution rule. So what will happen in that case is, it is ineffective. What I will do with the nexus if I am not able to tax it? First. Second point is, if the old allocation rules continue, then you have a situation where the nexus or the new nexus effectively fails. The report gives this as an example. After the BEPS, other action plans have been finalized, a lot of these MNEs shifted from a digital model into a local distributor model, where there will be a buy-sell distributor or a low-risk distributor, where the low-risk distributor will not have any intangible assets. You will not be performing any DEMPI functions as was referred to in the context of intangibles, or assume any risk relating to those assets. In effect, what happens is, he is just a kirana shop I'm putting in a loose manner, is just a kirana shop which will be just getting my goods and distributing to the customers. And even on his profits, which will be a kirana shop profit. Rest of the profits goes back to the MNE. So effectively the new Nexus rules which is there, which has been brought in through Action 7, or for that matter even Action 8 to 10 in the transfer pricing area, they were nullified by these LRDs or LRD arrangements. So this entire consultation document is basically about profit allocation. Of course, it also talks about Nexus. It is ultimately saying that what should be the Nexus and how we should allocate profits if that Nexus exists. Then there's a talking about concerns valid for traditional businesses as well. So here there is a straight statement saying that we want to also target traditional businesses, which means what? Which means a company which is sitting in Korea, having no presence in India other than maybe a few distributors who are LRDs, not paying any, will not pay a lion share of its profits, will not be subject to Indian taxes. They are saying no, we want to target those companies as well. Why they are highly digitalized? They are highly digitalized because now in today's economy, we live on digitalization. Even in our office, we have so much of digitalization happening. How do we communicate with our clients? Do we need to be there with the clients? No. So basically what happens is the contract conclusion, everything takes place abroad, and what will be left with the Indian distributor will be basically the delivery, for which he will earn a reasonable delivery profit. So in effect, the fulfillment of the delivery will be done by the LRD, while the rest of the profits will be retained by the parent abroad. So they are saying now here why do they want to target traditional businesses? For horizontal equity, design coherence and level playing field. You can't just ring fence digital economy and say I will tax only digital companies. So when other companies are also using the digital economy effectively, we should, in the interest of level playing field, in the interest of being par with treating both the type of businesses at par, we need to target even traditional businesses as well. So they came with 3 proposals. We will discuss those proposals in a very brief manner. So the first one is the user participation proposal, as they call it. This basically was targeted at social media platforms, search engines and online marketplaces. The logic here is the users are very important. The users don't pay money, but users generate value for those companies. How do they generate value? One, maybe they give data. My date of birth is a data. It's available to them. What they will do with it is another question, but data is available. They will manipulate the data, analyze the data, come out with value propositions for other businesses. Like today, I can advertise on Facebook. I can get data analytics done by Facebook on where I should advertise. Those are all valuable to me as a business. So now, all these data comes to them from what they are collected from the users. So that is one aspect why they have said that users are the ones who give the data, right? So basically where the users are, maybe that is where the value is getting created. If value is getting created, the profits follow, and profits follow, tax can't be far behind. So this is the thought process behind this user participation model. Second is also we have this online marketplaces where you have the user participation involved in the. Let us take Uber for instance. That is a user participation model in the sense that users are participating in the platform. How they participate? They make bookings. They discharge payments. So that is how they participate, and that participation more and more leads to what is called network effects. Network effects, because of which the higher the participation, higher the value of the platform, and that is how they generate money. So what we are talking about here is active and engaged user base, and which soliciting of data and content from users, right? What do they plan? How do they plan to tax them? How do they plan to what are they recommending as a user participation proposal is you follow what is called a non-routine residual profit split approach. We don't need to get too much into all this, but we'll just see it on a surface. You add a certain non-routine profits. From the non-routine profits, you identify which jurisdiction should get what profits. So basically, I will be able to do that based on the weightage I give to the users. I have a larger number of users in India. Larger profits come to larger profits will get allocated to India, and accordingly the Indian government can tax it. Now, for instance, if you look at Facebook's annual report, India has got the second largest number of users after US for Facebook. Now, that's the sort of a background with which this proposal is being recommended. So this user participation proposal has been in this inclusive framework. While the negotiations are going on, the report is that user participation proposal has been pushed by countries from the European Union. While we have a marketing intangible proposal which comes next, which is being pushed by the US. Now here what we are talking about is at the end of it, you identify global profits, identify non-routine profits. Out of the global profits, routine profits will get allocated depending on the normal transfer pricing principles. The non-routine profits will get allocated based on the quantitative or qualitative information or agreed to percentage. Ultimately you come down to a percentage. Now who will agree to this percentage? All the countries in the inclusive framework will have to agree to the percentage. So this is the proposal which is on the table as far as user participation is concerned. Now marketing intangible proposal, this is more interesting. So as I said, user participation proposal was only for limited set of businesses, which is basically your social networks and search engines and platforms. While here they are saying this marketing intangible proposal is for highly digitalized businesses, which would include even businesses who are dealing in tangible goods. Now here, what is the base of this proposal? Base of this proposal is there's an intrinsic functional link between marketing intangibles and market jurisdiction. Right? This is something which is very easy to understand. No, the brand names, trade names get developed because the customers come to know about the brand names and trade names. So the marketing intangible is linked to the market. Right? Idea customer data, where customers are, that is where the data is. So customer data, customer relationships, customer lists, all these are linked. There's a clear functional link between the market and these intangibles. So they are proposing to modify the current TPA rules to incorporate what is called a marketing intangible adjustment. What is this marketing intangible adjustment? It is basically you work out your taxable profits in the normal course based on the existing TP rules. Allocate the marketing intangible, the non-routine profits relating to the marketing intangibles. That marketing intangible non-routine profits should be allocated to the market jurisdiction. Normal course, what happens in a DEPI, if you allocate, like Srinivasan sir pointed out, you have a legal owner, economic owner. The difference is there. So now, sorry? Functional owner. So they said functional owner should get the attribution of income related to the marketing intangibles. That was the proposition of action plan 8 to 10. Right? Not the legal owner or the economic owner. Now question is, if all the DEMPI functions, the DEMPI functions are relating to the intangibles, are not being performed in, let us say, in India. They are being performed abroad. Very limited allocation will happen even by the changed rules. The problem is there that even under the changed rules under BEPS, there is nothing further which is really getting substantially allocated to market jurisdictions. So this has been the cry of countries like India, where we are saying that no, you are going to take the entire functional ownership of marketing intangible abroad, then what do we get? The non-routine profits are arising because of this marketing intangibles. So what does the market jurisdiction get? One is making far to farm, adding a market as the function, asset, risk and market. This aspect is along those same lines. So you say marketing are to be allocated to markets. So irrespective of the ownership of the marketing intangible, legal, economic or functional, marketing intangible profits will get allocated to markets. This is the whole proposition of this marketing intangible proposal. Now how they get allocated, you do a marketing, as I said, you do a marketing intangible adjustment. You do a normal profit allocation, normal profit you determine of the E, and whatever profit related to the marketing intangible, you allocate to the market based on various criteria, because one marketing intangible could be useful in several jurisdictions. So you need to have agreement amongst countries to allocate it. So now basically we are not yet into the Indian provisions, we are still talking about the recommendations or the proposals of the OECD. One point they are raising is trade intangibles do not have a functional link. Now this we have made it as part of the our representation to the or our comments to this proposal as part of the BCS. Now trade intangibles like patents are not linked with market jurisdictions. This is a statement which is there in the document. Now what are trade intangibles? Trade intangibles are like patents. Patent is a trade intangible. The document says that a patent for a car engine will not differ how the car engine works in different countries. So I invent something sitting in Switzerland, I generate the invention, make the patent. That patent cannot be attributed to the market which is there in India. That same patent can be used in Indonesia, the same patent can be used in Pakistan. So it is going to generate the same value. There is no extra value being generated by the patent in the market economy. This is the thought process which they are bringing out, but the problem with this thought process is there is a confusion being created between the value of the invention and the value of the patent. Now this is my pet topic, so I will not take, I don't want to take too much time, but I'll tell you why there is a difference. You look at section Section 48 of the Patent Act. I think he has opened the old version and added certain slides. Wait, let me just check this out. Just give me a minute. Yeah, he's opened the old one. Yeah, where is he? So I'll just run it through. Basically, what does patent mean? Patent is not the invention. Version 2. Okay. So there will be a little changes. I will give the slides to Mr. Srinivas. So now what does it say? The exclusive right, section 48 says the exclusive right, the last row, to prevent third parties who do not have his consent from the act of making, using, offering for sale that product in India. If I have a patent, this is the right I get by Indian statute to make, manufacture and offer for sale in India. So basically this is a monopoly I get for the period of patent, and this monopoly I get from the Indian patent law, and this monopoly I get only in India for the which is being given under the Indian patent. So I need to go and register this patent in various countries under their various laws. I might even register the patent common by way of those patent conventions, but that doesn't change the fact that the patent protection is being given by the domestic patent law of individual countries. So is there not a direct link with that country for the protection I get in that country? So should this not, a value of a patent, should it not be a direct functional link with the market rather than with the promoter where he has done the research and development? So this is, at least in my view, this appears to be a flawed. I might spend huge amounts of money in making the invention, But unless I have a protection in that country, I'm at risk. So if my patent law is like is ineffective or is being ineffectively implemented, then what is the value of my patent, value of my intention if that can be easily copied in my country? So the protection which is being given by the law has got value, and that value is directly linked to that market, and should it not be also appropriately, the market should it not be appropriately compensated for the extra profits and extra tax? That is the proposition. So let's go further. Yeah, please go ahead.
As a general question, so usually, irrespective of where the functions are done, probably the patent should be registered as, say, at the headquarters or at one particular location, and then they will apply for a protection across countries, wherever they are operated. It doesn't have a direct link with value creation or...
So that's the point.
Yeah,
that is the exact point I'm saying. There is nothing called registration of patent centrally.
Correct.
There's nothing called registration of patent centrally. You make something, you want it to be registered, you want to register patent in individual countries. It has to be registered individually. There are of course patent convention treaties are there, whereby you can register global patent, but it effectively means that you don't have to go and do filings in every country. One filing is adequate for patent protection to be given by individual laws of those countries, of those member countries. There is nothing called centralized registration in patent.
But sir, this registration also is only a protective registration, so there is no commercially exploitable value until
Okay,
I do.
fine. I like these questions because they go to the root of what intellectual property is. Now tell me if, okay, the protection has got no value, right? Then what did you register?
So that somebody else does not.
So the protection you get from somebody else not copying your product or processes is not valuable to you, because he can't copy it. So you are able to manufacture it and sell it in the market. Suppose let us say he copies it. You are not worried. You don't think the protection is valuable. So he goes and copies it. This is happening in software also. People copy Daldia CD. Okay, it was happening. So the market for the patentee is the guy who is getting the patent protection, is shrinking or shrinks if there is no protection. So the value comes from there. If the value, you get the difference. Anyway, this was, I couldn't resist putting this in.
Sir, one more question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
From the any outbound company, let's assume one company is an outbound from India perspective. So one way we are talking about the significant economic presence for the inbound activities, and we are talking about damper function for the outbound activities. So are we not contradicting ourselves for differently treating inbound and outbound?
My belief is there is if you are going to apply it, you have to apply it into both legs. Obviously, otherwise you are not consistent. But of course, each country will have their own compulsions, right? So now I will always try to tax the foreigner, like Mr. Srinivasan pointed out. I would like to collect foreign tax because that's easier on my electorate, right? The guys who are going to vote for me. If I go and say, no, locally also you should pay tax, so you have a problem. So there will always be these pulls and pressures. But effectively there will be an equilibrium at some stage. What that stage is, we have to see.
But until then there would be a disputes and double taxation.
So now these are proposals. Now these proposals will be, once let us say they come to a certain conclusion and say now we will have an SCP. We don't like this marketing intangible proposal, we don't like this user participation. We will have an SCP which is a P or another class of P. Let us say that will be the situation, and they amend the MLI or they introduce a new MLI, or maybe individual countries negotiate treaties, right? Then what will happen is, unless there is an SCP, the other country cannot tax that income. Same way, unless there is like a P, it's a P. Basically, can you tax any income where there is no P? There is no P in your country. You can't. Foreign income you can't tax. So the attribution of profits will be limited to the P. So P would be in an SCP form. Would be a new class of P. So that will be a provision in treaty. Now what did India do? India brought those provisions into the law. Now but tell me one thing, if there is a provision in the treaty that there should be SCP, SCP will constitute a P and there will be a profit attributable to P can be taxed by India, you need provision in the law to do it, no? So India has not jumped the gun. India is actually doing what it ought to do, which is having provisions in the law. Provisions are there in the law, but they have also said that where there are treaties with countries, this will not get triggered.
So it means where the treaty is there, where
Yeah.
we have been defined, it will not trigger.
No, refined is not refined. So basically, let us say you have an SCP in the law today,
Correct.
right? Now, but let us say you have the party concerned is, let us say, from a treaty country.
I'm from USA.
So the treaty country, the Article 7 will say unless you have a PE, your profits cannot be taxed by India.
Correct.
India can't tax it, though there is a provision in the law, which is understood, which is there, which is mentioned in the memorandum, explanatory memorandum also.
Possibly only from those countries where
There is no treaty. And also the intention is eventually treaties will get renegotiated or will get changed by way of an MLA or any other MLA 2, it will get changed to bring in these propositions. At that time you have a local taxing provision which enables you to tax that income which is being allocated to you by the treaty. Treaty is nothing but a distributive rule. Treaty is not a treaty cannot charge tax.
So actually what will happen in the case they negotiate the treaty, okay. So yes, India will able to tax inbound. At the same time, USA will tax India outbound.
Yes. So what's the quarrel in that? Then should it not be so? If there is a quarrel, tell me. Should it not be so?
No, it's not like that. Okay, now the moment you negotiate ETA, okay, so they define India and USA. They define one context state, other context state. Okay, so it means the whatever India outbounds are there. Okay, India also have a lot of what you call digital presence across the globe. Indian company also have digital presence across the globe. Okay, and due to that, okay, their income also being taxed in the respective countries.
So I'll give you the background of this. Basically, this started with what is called stateless income. This is action 1 for the matter BEPS started with stateless income. Mr. Srinivasan showed you that double Dutch sandwich. Basically, where you have a company which is earning billions of dollars and paying few percentage taxes. Why? Because of the structure. The income is not getting taxed anywhere. They are attacking those structures. So then what will happen is eventually they will go and sit in on the jurisdiction where the taxes will have to be paid. So this point you are raising is if you are looking at a normal scenario where Indian companies also have get a SCP in US. Indian company, if the local law in US will of course need to be changed like in India, there will be local taxing right limited to the provisions in the treaty. So both ways it will happen, which is fine. Today also it is the same way. You have PEs in US, you have to pay tax in US. Wipro must have paid must be paying huge amount of taxes. They are paying in US. And India has to give credit for those taxes. Which is fair, no? Ultimately the taxation is happening because of it. Of course then the marketing intangible, all the story will come, that is a different story. So shall we go ahead? So now what they are talking about highly digitalized business without taxable presence. Highly digitalized business with only an LRD as a taxable presence. We discussed this aspect. Not owning any intangibles, not performing DEP. Even that they are wanting to target. Similar structures used by traditional consumer business. Now this is a explosive statement in this consultation document. What do you mean by this? Similar structures used by traditional consumer business. So let's say a Samsung TV being sold in India through Vijay Sales or through some such independent distributors or even related distributors who do not constitute a DAP or a fixed place. Then you have a situation where the AE will get compensated, even if it is a third party, it will get compensated by way of a normal TP provisions, but because there is nothing further, the entire profits go back to the. So they are saying that the traditional consumer business also should be targeted in this by this purpose. So intention is that even traditional businesses are to be targeted. So they might be operating remotely or through LRD structure, but they will be targeted. So mechanics will forget it is all about computation. or what they think ought to be the competition, but it's going to be formula. It is a formula-based approach is what they're talking about. Here again, we need to have consensus amongst countries what should be their percentage and how it should be identified, which looks quite dicey whether it will happen. Now we come to the significant economic presence. Now here basically this is a proposal which was given in Action 1, this 2015 proposal. I am not discussing our proposal, our provisions in the law, which we will discuss in the subsequent slides. Now what does this talk about? They say that you could have sustained interaction with a country, earn income in that country, but not pay any tax. How is it possible? So it should not be allowed. That sort of a situation should not be allowed. So now what should be the factors which I should take into account to say you have a significant economic presence? You are not on digital presence, right? Economic presence. Like basically I have an Apple selling so much of its products in India, not having any digital presence here, but it might have an economic presence. So they are saying what are the factors? Factors would be how do you determine which company has got a significant economic presence and which does not have. So what are the factors? They are talking about, they have given revenue-based factors. How much sales you earn from that country, how much revenue you earn from that country. When you have data, when you have users who generate data, who are from that country, and the revenue, the users are also in the same country, then the value of the users gets captured in this revenue-based factor. Let's say you have Indians sitting in India who are generating data for Facebook, and that data is being used to target Indian customers, right? And who targets Indian customers? Let us say Indian companies. So Indian companies are targeting Indian customers. So basically, the revenue which the company, which Facebook earns from India, captures the value of the users also. That's the point they are saying. If it is the same country, but suppose our data is, or Indian data is being used elsewhere to earn revenue, which is unlikely, right? Who is going to use Indian data to buy a phone in Japan?
Not exactly.
I give another example.
Yeah, give.
See, something like Coca-Cola is there. Okay, Coca-Cola. So the Coca-Cola US will pay to Facebook US, okay, to make advertisement in India. So there is no payment from Coca-Cola. There is no payment from Coca-Cola India. Nobody will know. Okay.
So when I am saying revenue, it is not revenue of Facebook. That is the revenue of Coke happening. I am not talking about revenue of Facebook. Facebook tax is not important for me. Coke is spending on the intangibles. Coke is spending on this data. Customers of Coke are in India. There you have it. So the revenue of Coke captures the user value in that sense.
Another example is that Australia tourism. Okay, so Gujarat, okay, the state where people like more to have overseas, what you call.
It's a good example. What I say is you are actually giving a different flavor to the discussion. The example is Australian tourism is in Australia, right?
Correct.
Effectively, the Australian tourism, let's say whoever is a business that's going to earn there from Indian customers.
Correct.
Right? In that case, the revenue will not capture.
Because the revenue will happen only in Australia.
Right? That's a fair point.
Sir, so all this is now like acting like a dependent to do business without a presence. But at some point in time, the attribution principles should match with the arm's length.
So
Because
should it?
then-
Should it?
No,
The whole idea is that.
If we do not, then I'm not sure if the report has a recommendation on it. So if not, then by merely setting up a presence and say, for instance, routing all these revenue through your formal presence, you would go back to your functional ownership of marketing intangible, and it will not probably capture all these.
So which is what you want to avoid, no? Through these propositions. If the regular rules are good enough to give sufficient value, sufficient taxes to the market economies, these things would not be there.
But that it's still not there. So if you did
Agreed.
it through a formal presence, you still are not capturing value. So
Why do you say if you do it through
because
formal
because
presence?
of the difference between the marketing intangible ownership going back to the function?
So effectively they are looking at, this is the problem they are identifying. They are trying to look at how to mitigate this problem. So they are saying your physical presence is different from your economic presence. They are trying to find out a new methodology by which to allocate profits to various jurisdictions so that the market or what is called the demand side of any transaction can be sufficiently compensated.
So until these rules are being made, we should continue following the tempe function, and once this
Yeah,
rule comes, then only
for
we
that
should
matter,
continue.
even maybe it will continue even after. Tempe might not go away because these rules are adding something extra.
But both looks to be contradicting to certain extent also.
No, what they are saying is like, okay, you are kept your IP abroad. There's nothing in India. Okay, marketing intangibles. They are saying here. They are saying all that should be allocated to India. So what the normal rules, it will not be allocated. By the special rules, it will get allocated. So you are actually negating the structures which are existing today, which are perceived to be unfair.
So how do we allocate, I mean, the IP function, the IP, where do we allocate? Generally,
So-
we do allocate where the IP is residing, but in this case, the attribution has to be made in the countries where the user is sitting and using the.
So
those IPs.
first question is where is IP residing? Is legal ownership of IP the correct proposition for allocating profits?
Say yes.
Are you sure about that? So I would believe, let us say, marketing intangible, what they are talking about, I am saying even for trade intangible, there is a problem. When your entire, I don't know that you people have, you remember the Foster's ruling.
Okay, I'm talking about a practical question, a practical situation where where the IPs are in the right location, and then the SP comes into play.
So IPR in the right location means how do you define right? Right in whose perspective?
From the DEN-based perspective.
Yeah, so DEPI perspective, so your first proposition is the DEPI perspective is the correct perspective. Yeah,
Yes.
so let us unlearn that, no? DEPI's perspective is not the right perspective. Let us unlearn that.
But that is also part of the law, and that is.
So what will happen is, what they are saying is, by DEPI you will shift all your profits abroad, and by SCP we will bring all in. That is all they say. They are not saying that don't apply DEPI, they are saying pay tax here. So these are propositions which actually the whole point is, there has been a sea change in the way in which governments are looking at taxation today. It is not based on our understanding of transfer pricing, our understanding of what and who should pay the tax. Far removed they are from what we are thinking, and that will come when we look at the attribution rules. No, you will come to know. So okay, let's proceed. Let's now take it a little faster. Now here what we are talking about is significant revenue-based factors should be combined with digital factors like local domain name, local website, local payment. See, everybody earns revenue. Let's say the Samsung sitting in US or sitting in Korea is earning revenue from India. Now, that alone should not be enough for a significant economic presence for Samsung. There should be something more. What is that which should be more? There should be local domain name for its website. Local website should be there. Local payment options, local currency options should be there. Like I go and make a payment to Google today for, let us say, cloud storage. I pay in Indian rupees. I go to Amazon.in, Indian rupees. Right? So now why is that? They have indigenized their business to India. So as a user, I am comfortable. If they give me dollars, I have to take a calculator and calculate.
Because they are using what you call, they are a payment gateway.
No, why they are, no, how they do it, I'm asking why they do it. Because
make it user friendly.
it's comfortable to the customer.
They could have done otherwise also. Dollar
Yeah.
also.
So it's comfortable to the customer, no?
So they are trying to see payment gateway that they are using that, okay, and that makes globally anywhere currency conversion, which is a user friendly.
So for a user, he sees a seamless thing as if he has gone to the store and bought the product. He is doing it from the site. For him, it is an Indian-based company which is doing. I was not for a lot of time. I was not aware. Amazon.in is not an Indian business. It is not an Indian business. Amazon.in.
I
But
give
it's not very
you an example also. Alibaba.com, 6 months back, okay, you have to trade only in dollars. Okay, now they also make it user friendly, where you can
So they are using that as a hint of a significant economic presence. 15 minutes.
Yes.
Now I think we'll rush. Huh?
Okay.
We'll go to the more interesting part, which is the Indian provision. So this basically they are saying revenue-based factor is not alone. Alone is not sufficient. You should have other factors like your digital factors, user-based factors to be taken into account for a significant economic presence to be triggered. Now keep this in mind, this aspect about other factors, revenue-based factors alone is not sufficient. You look at our SAP, right? We'll forget about this. This basically fractional apportionment method and modified method. We'll forget. All this, let us go. Now we come to our SAP. Now what does our SAP say? It should be a significant economic presence shall constitute a business correction. And SAP means they are given two limbs, transaction limb and user limb, right? So the first one is about transaction. Now I am doing a little bit of interpretation. So of course we'll keep that in mind. All what are the 35,000 feet view is all gone. So transaction in respect of any goods, service or property carried out by a non-resident in India, including provision of download of data or software in India. If the aggregate payments arising, they are given a threshold beyond which it will be taxed. It will constitute a SCP. And B talks about systematic and continuous soliciting of business activities or engaging in interaction with such number of users as may be prescribed through digital means. So if you notice, A does not say through digital means. Through digital means is there only in B, right? So they are not looking at transaction in respect of any goods, services or property through digital means. They are looking at transactions in respect of any goods, services or property per se, right? So this is a big change. Second thing is, if the transaction in respect of any goods, services or property exceeds the threshold, SCP is constituted. What we had in our inclusive framework document, revenue factor alone is not sufficient. There has to be some other factors to be brought in, user-based factors, domain name, etc., right? We have seen that. So basically in our SCP, what is there in our law, income tax law, it is any transaction in respect of any good service or property beyond a threshold could trigger a SCP. Now let us hold the thought there. So now what is this? One is any transaction, the transaction increases, goes above a threshold, SCP. What are the transactions? Are we talking about only digital goods? Or it also covers physical goods? There is no exclusion. There is no exclusion to digital goods, right? There is no exclusion to physical goods, sorry. No, what does it say? This slide, I will not take you through this slide because it's quite voluminous. This slide talks about how the shift has happened from attacking only digital companies to attacking digitalized companies. So idea is, if I do business with India without having a presence here or having very limited presence here, I still have to pay taxes in India. That is the logic with which the world has moved, and even Indian provisions have to be interpreted in that way. There have been interpretations. I had interpreted this the first part of the limb A to say that the whole purpose is coming out of digital economy, it should only cover digital goods. But then I have been proved wrong. I changed my mind. Okay. Then, and also in other countries, you have a EU significant digital presence approach. They talk about digital services. Here they are limiting themselves to digital services. In Israel also they are talking about online services and products. While UK diverted profits tax, this was brought in UK as an anti-abuse measure. There they are saying that this covers digital goods and services but not limited to them. So basically, if I don't have a PE in UK, let us say I just get the sales, I do the overseas billing company does the sales. There is no presence in the UK. I award a PE and I don't pay tax. They say no. If you award a PE, effectively, in that case you will have to pay, if your DPT is triggered, you will have to pay higher rate of tax as a penalty. And this is a huge success from the government's perspective in the UK. There's a good amount of millions of pounds have been collected as taxes under this provision alone in UK. So it is not like our equalization levy, which is collected some paltry sum, so ये सब तो चलता रहेगा तो not relevant ऐसा नहीं. This has collected huge amounts of money, tax revenue for the UK.
What was the approximate tax rate?
From 19% to 25% is what UK is. If you have a DPT, it's another 6% more taxes. Second point, the invitation for comment for threshold. There was an invitation given by the CBDT that you give to the stakeholders to give comments. What should be the threshold of transactions? What should be the threshold for users? That come in July 18, and there it is clearly mentioned what is threshold for physical goods, what is threshold for digital goods. They are clear in their mind.
What result is given?
The circular is there. It's not a circular. This is a big press release. Invitation for comments for threshold refers to physical goods also.
Okay.
Got it? So basically they are clear that it covers physical goods.
What is the relevance of keeping that limit?
Sorry?
Any relevance of keeping that limit? How it matters? So they want to do
So you don't want small companies to small trading to get affected. First thing.
turnover wise.
Turnover wise, revenue wise. So at this point also brings us to the fore that what is the connection between business connection under 1A as we normally understand and this provision. Effectively, this provision has overridden business connection under 1A. Because as long as you increase or you go beyond the threshold, your business connection, why all that RD Agrawal and all that headache, go about a limit, you constitute an SCP. Right? This seems to be the understanding. Second is provision of download of data or software. Now here, provision in India, again, provision in India but, of download of data or software. Now, software is not limited to computer software.
That also.
No, software is not limited to computer software. It could be a music software, it could be a film software. So basically, it is not attacking only the computer software business. It could attack all streaming activity, could attract all digital businesses here. So basically, the provision of download of data or software based on the transactions, you might be constituting an SCP. So we will not. There are a few questions here. Whether internet streaming website, whether there is no download, can it constitute? Will it escape SCP? That's a technical aspect. I don't. What I have read about internet streaming is like basically technically, I get to see portions of the file as it is being downloaded. So basically, it goes into a buffer. I get to see it, and once I see it, it gets deleted. Means it doesn't get stored in my hard disk. So in a streaming, it doesn't get stored, but still there is a download. So we can't be so technical and say no, internet streaming there is no download, so it will not apply. I would believe it is difficult to come to that proposition. And there is an overlap between explanation 4 of section 916 and 91, this explanation 2A. About we have explanation 4 which was introduced in 2012, making the consultation for transfer of right to use or transfer for right to use computer software as royalty. Now in this case also we are talking about provision of download of data or software. Now here we are talking about the act of download. In explanation 4 to section 916 we are talking about contractual relationship between the parties. So there's a difference and both can coexist. Or maybe it could also, one can also take a view that where there's an outright sale of software, explanation 4 of 916 should not apply. Reason being that it talks about transfer of right to use or right for use computer software. When I own the software copy, there's a sale. If there is a sale, explanation 4 should not apply. But if the same copy I have downloaded, explanation 1, your 2A will apply for SCP to get triggered. So this is some bit of distinction and some bit of overlap is there. Maybe it can be resolved. For license, of course, I think it is not. Both will get triggered, and what is special would be not download. I will go under royalty in that case. That is a personal view. So now we are basically for interaction. Now interaction we'll go on interaction, that is basically systematic and continuous soliciting of business activities. Now here, what is this interaction with users? Interaction with users, is it impliedly two-way? Interaction cannot be one way. So I say, Alexa, do this. Is it two-way or one-way? Huh?
Two-way.
It is two-way. But I am not interacting with the company, I am interacting with the machine. So it should not get covered. Got the point, no? So interaction should be with the company, no? I am not interacting with non-resident.
I actually don't know about the technology, okay, but you say, Alexa, I want this music, okay, how this data being go to Amazon and how the data being saved to the worldwide.
That's the point. Or if it is all inbuilt, let us say I do a washing machine, a fuzzy, what is that fuzzy thing I do in washing machine? I'm interacting. I'm doing something, it throws something back. So these are all the points we can keep in mind when we interpret the provision. This is a point, well point that when I'm giving an instruction to it, does it go to the website of the non-resident, then it comes. I don't know, we'll check it out. And of course, we discussed through digital means we have discussed, right? It's only for explanation to a second limb and not for first limb. So now this, we have discussed this. When does the equalization levy, how it will trigger, how it will correlate with explanation with this 2A is basically, I would believe that only income chargeable to tax will come under 2A. So basically what is exempt under 1050, the equalization will not get triggered. Now we come to the last point. Second hint. Big hint. So now what is this idea is of this profit attribution report is a very small this thing, but that's a bit of a case study. Frankly, how much time I can take? Better to ask. By 1:30?
Yeah.
Done. 1:30 then we will do it. So what is this profit attribution to be draft report talks about? They are saying that the existing rule 10, which is basically a formulary apportionment and how the AO feels he can apportion to his satisfaction, all that, they are saying that no, we can't have such sort of arbitrary application of law. We need to bring that into a proper rule, how the profits will get allocated. So we'll go to the example straight away. Okay, now here they have given weights. They are saying that sales should be 1/3. Now don't go by this. Here we are talking about 30%. For digital businesses, there is a limb 2, limb B. They are given a different weightage, but forget about the weightage. The point is, they want to attack or they want to consider both supply side and the demand side is what they are talking about. They are saying the existing rules only deal with the supply side, which is basically manpower, assets, and what are the resources which are being put in by the non-resident. Only that is getting remunerated appropriately, while the supply side, which is basically the demand side, is basically the market, is not getting tracked, not getting factored in. So they wanted to put a weight of at least 1/3 of the net profits, global net profits of India, of profits derived from India, to sales. So that's like 1/3 of the Indian profit should be available to our Indian government to tax. That is the whole logic. Now you look at it in that perspective. For a company which is actually selling from abroad but constituting an SCP, they don't have anything here in India. Let us say 000. In that case, what will happen is, we'll come to this, we'll go there first. See the case 3. This is not there in your this thing, but we'll just have a look at it. I have revenue from India, revenue in India, right? Sales derived by Indian operations. 30% weight I've taken digital business, highly digitalized business, because I can't have a revenue without having presence. So I'm doing it through digital means, right? So there's nothing in India, no employees in India, no wages in India, no assets deployed in India for the operations. Everything is being deployed abroad. Even in such a case, I derive under revenue from India. My global operating margin is 5%. I'm assuming the figures. Profits derived from India is 5. Last 4 lines. And profit attributable to Indian operations is 5 multiplied by 0.40. This is the formula they are given. So basically, if I have revenue from India, though I might not have anything else, as long as I constitute a business correction in form of an SCP or otherwise, I have to pay tax in India. Right? We are not talking about digital business, non-digital. I am not talking about tangible goods and digital goods. Any goods, any service, any property. So this is the outcome they are looking for. Now, in case there is a, let us go back. In case there are operations in India, this is how the calculation will work out. Now, you have got 80 in India and 20 abroad. It's a proportion, simple weights calculation. We don't need to spend too much time on it. This is how it will happen. Higher user intensity, there's a weight given for the users as well. So these are basic simple calculation. Now, this is what they are proposing. Now, this aspect will apply even for your regular business correction. How do I attribute profits? This will apply even for a PE scenario. Just imagine, even for a PE scenario, this rule will apply. Why? They are saying that under the UN model, customary apportionment. So this I put it here. So the UN model, and this is contained in several of our treaties. The customary apportionment, customarily, if I have a basis of apportioning total profits based on its various parts, it is to be accepted, provided such result is in accordance with the principles contained in this article. So they are saying, taking a stand that the model, UN model, as well as several of India's treaties contain this clause, that customary apportionment is permitted. So Rule 10 can be applied. Now Rule 10, one or two things where Rule 10 cannot be applied. Yes. No India-centric accounts are available, then only it can be applied. So if I have a regular arm's length, your TP study and all that effort is there, then Rule 10 will not apply. But in case of a SCP, Rule 10 will apply, because your regular arm's length computation of profits will not generate the profits they expect SCP to generate. So you have, if there are no India-centric accounts available and profits of Indian operations are not correctly determinable, in that case Rule 10 will apply. So you expect Rule 10 to apply, unless you have a sound transfer pricing study and it is acceptable, the profit which you allocate to the Indian AE or a PE is acceptable to the office. So the large cases it is going to apply. So this will apply whether there is a regular business correction or otherwise. So I think I should stop here. Any poses are there? Another point is this on EBITDA. This is a point which we should bear in mind. This is on EBITDA. This revenue derived from India, global operating profit margin is the EBITDA margin. EBITDA margin is before depreciation, interest and taxes. So they are working out on that percentage. Question is whether subsequent to the calculation of profits of 2.74 in our example here, can I get a deduction for interest and depreciation? This is a point which these sort of points only CS will take out. But they can debate that. So basically, what have I determined here? Have I determined taxable income or have I determined profits and then I do a work out the taxable income? So it can be two ways is possible. So one of the good things is there is a lot of loose things and still work in progress, and I am free of giving whatever opinion I want without the risk of being any tomatoes being thrown at me. Thank you very much for your patience.
So in the what you call document, what are the recommendations you want to provide? Okay, which are missing and which is required?
I think as professionals, if we are not attuned to what is happening in the world, we will be actually giving out our opinions which will not be having any weight. So the sense that today what is happening is worldwide is they want to tax businesses in the markets. They don't want to let go of taxes in the markets. So there is huge pressure, and that is happening. Whether the US is one of the countries which is resisting this pressure. They want other methodologies. But if this goes through, then we will have taxation happening at gross level. Now taxation happening at gross level, which is exactly this is at gross level, right? I don't look at any presumptive tax. I don't look at any percentage or anything. When it happens at gross level, you have other challenges like trade laws coming into play. Whether there's a problem in discrimination of national treatment obligations under GATT and GATS that could come, but those are all far into the future. Point remains, they want to tax you, and they want to tax you at sales level. They don't want your calculation, they don't want your study. This is my understanding.
Another reason I'm saying from what is called Section 195. Okay, so today I'm making a payment to Facebook or LinkedIn. Okay, and when I'm paying to LinkedIn US, okay, I don't have the TRC, I do nothing I have, so I just do a gross of 25% and make the payment. Tomorrow, if the change of DTA happened, okay, how do I know when making payment that they create a P in India, whether I should deduct 20% or 40%?
So what will happen effectively is more and more companies will come and have physical presence in the country. That is what will happen. So more and more companies will come with their lower tax deduction certificate to you if they are able to justify that to the tax officer. That is what will happen. Effectively, what this remotely doing business in another country is going to get lesser and lesser. So effectively, that's what is going to happen. Otherwise, if you say Facebook is an advertisement, the equalization levy will apply in other countries.
No, it's not what you call. Other than advertisement also, there are a number of requirements for which you have to make the payment. Okay, it's not advertisement.
So I agree with you. If there's a P, you normally do now is take P certificate and all that. One has to be more cautious.
Because there is no way, there is no communication by which you can connect.
So maybe it will happen that they will do away with the certificate altogether. That is quite possible.
So in 94 we have some different views compared to the policy.
That we will park it for the break. Then we'll park it for the break. Done? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, friends, we come to the concluding part of this IRRC in international taxation. First of all, I should thank the speaker for taking us through the significant economic presence. And I should thank delegates for the significant physical presence throughout from first session to so far. So thank each and every one of you for making this event a memorable and more educative event as such. I thank Ganesh Rajgopalan for coming all the way from Mumbai and sharing his knowledge. A big round of applause for him. Call upon Hitesh to come forward. Hitesh, correct now?